Welcome to Spotlight Chat, a conversation with leaders.
Our special guest today on Spotlight Chat is Calandra Rothrock. She is the education coordinator for the San Diego Natural History Museum. If someone hasn't been to your museum yet, what are they going to see?
Well, of course, the first thing that people think of when they think of a natural history museum is dinosaurs. And of course, we have a couple dinosaurs. But a lot of people don't realize that we have a local focus. So we focus on San Diego County and Baja California. So we have some exhibits that emphasize the habitats there, water usage, and the history of our area as well, geologic time. And then we also host traveling exhibits. So we have some that come through from time to time, and those rotate on a 3 to 6 month basis.
And what is unique, what is different about the geological history of San Diego? How is it different from Pittsburgh? I think I've been to the Pittsburgh Museum with their dinosaurs. I've been to the New York City Natural History Museum and all their dinosaurs. What else is just different about the area of San Diego?
So I think so many natural history museums focus on specimens that are interesting that might come from anywhere around the world, and it is pretty unique that we only focus on the history of San Diego, our local geologic history. And we're relatively young, if you want to talk about geologic time. We only have fossils so far that go back to the Cretaceous, right around the extinction of the dinosaurs. And then moving forward, we have a lot of cool marine fossils. So a lot of San Diego's history was underwater. So a lot of people don't realize that, and they come in and they can see some amazing fossils of whales, sharks, ammonites, seashells, and then what I find really fascinating is during the last ice age, our most recent prehistoric era there, we had more of a savanna-like habitat. So there's mastodons, American lions, even camels and horses were native. So if you come there...
Camels were here, really?
Yeah, camels were actually one of the native species that we had, along with big wolves and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's fascinating that you see that in the museum, and then you step outside and you realize that those were found close by, that was the backyard of where you live, or if you're a visitor, places that you've seen.
That surprised me a little. What else are people surprised by when they learn about the history of the area?
I think they, of course, come in and they immediately want to go to the dinosaurs. And so when they find out that there has been this habitat change over time, that during one chunk of time it was very jungly and swampy, and we have big anacondas and bats and this big creature called a brontothere, which is kind of like a rhino. It seems kind of amazing. It has not always looked the way that we imagine it to look now, the dry hillsides. We had this very rich wet environment. We were underwater for a while, and then we had the savanna as well.
Now, your museum is also known for the various camp programs you have. How does that work?
So we offer summer camps, anywhere from 7 to 9 or 10 weeks over the summer. And then we also offer camps over winter break and spring break. And we offer rotating themes for campers in preschool through 8th grade. So there's a lot of choices for parents that want to send their kids to camp with us.
And what goes on in camp? I mean, as a kid, I certainly remember going to the museum, but it was always like a one-day field trip. It wasn't something I went to regularly. What is the curriculum in a typical summer 9-10 week program?
So we have a theme for each of our camps, and the theme may be dinosaurs, or the theme may be desert animals, or a camp that we had last summer was called Kaleidoscope. It was about art and science. So the kids come and they'll be expected to spend some time in the museum, spend some time outside playing games, and then there's also an educational component every day. We're going to learn about this particular animal. We're going to learn about evolution. We're going to learn about sound waves. And there's a craft that's correlated with that, maybe more than one, because the kids like to make some crafts while they are in camp. So they not only learn about it, they see the concept in the museum, in the exhibit, and then they make something hands-on that they can take home and share with their parents and their family.
What do you say to a parent who says, oh, my kid loves dinosaurs, he or she, they want to become a paleontologist, or they want to become an archaeologist? What's your advice to them? I mean, how many jobs are there in that field?
Well, I think it's quite a broad field, and I think that so many kids are surprised to find out what it actually entails to be a paleontologist. They've seen Jurassic Park, so they think that that's it, which may in the future be a part of it. I hope so. But they don't know that there are...
You hope there are live dinosaurs who come back and eat us?
Maybe the small ones, not too big, not too big. But I think they don't realize that there are all these other opportunities. One of the things that we have at the museum is actually if there's construction happening on a site that may have fossils in it, they're required by law to have a paleontologist on the site. So that's a lot of what our team does, is go out to construction sites and spot fossils, and some of that stuff just gets dug up. All of a sudden, they're working on something, they find a bone, they find a shell, they find something interesting, and the team at the museum has to get it out of there really quickly so that we can preserve it, and then the construction can continue.
And what constitutes a significant find? Obviously, if it's a dinosaur that's millions of years old, that's interesting to people. If it's a dead dog from 4 years ago, maybe not as significant or historically interesting to people.
That's true. Now, I don't have a tremendous background in paleontology, so I'm not sure how they determine exactly what's significant, but I know certainly anything that hasn't been seen before or is in phenomenal condition or is a great example of a particular specimen is definitely something that they're going to want to preserve and bring in and add to our collection. And oftentimes what I understand is in the field, you're not quite sure what the condition is. And so you take a look at it out there in the field, and then you bring it in, and then you find out what you have. It might be amazing. It might not be that, but it adds some information that another scientist can use in the future. So that's still valuable.
You're also known for your partnerships with public schools and private schools in conjunction with your camps and field trips, too. How does that work exactly?
I think that museums have such a role in creating children who grow up to be flexible and citizen scientists in their community, to know that science is not just something that you do in a classroom. It doesn't always just involve putting on a lab coat and goggles and beakers. That science is about exploration, and kids naturally do this. And I think at some point in their lives, it suddenly becomes hard. I don't know if it's a social thing or something we say, oh man, that's science, math, engineering stuff, that's so hard. And camp can help bridge that gap to say, come on in, we're not going to test you on this. This is going to be so fun, and you're going to think of yourself as a scientist or an engineer. And we can reach all of those kids who may be interested in science, or maybe not so much. Maybe they are interested in animals, and they find themselves there and they feel at home, and then they take that home with them to explore in their own backyard.
So how do kids change their behavior after spending a 9-10 week program with you? Because unfortunately, a lot of kids are in a culture with their family, or they come home from school and you're putting on the boob tube. You're watching, it could be cartoons, it could be sitcoms, their parents may be doing the same thing. How do you change that behavior, whether that is just learning why baking soda is needed if you're making cookies and the chemistry behind it? How else are they changing their perspective on actually living?
So one of the things that we like to do, I think the craft can be really key, because you send it home and it gives the child something to share and something to talk about, and also hopefully something that they can replicate. If you're making a miniature habitat diorama, they can take that home and then on their own start their own exploration. And the feedback that I've heard from parents after they've had their kids in one of our camps is that they go home and they talk about all the things that they've done. They talk, we have songs, we have all these different ways for them to access the information, and they go home and they say, I want to show you this song, I want to show you my project, I want to tell you about what we did today. Or I had a mother tell me once, oh, did you know that there apparently are a bunch of mammoths in my backyard? Because after a day of learning about mammoths, her sons had gone into the backyard to play that they were hunting mammoths for the rest of the afternoon, and she was very pleased with that. So
perhaps a nice, no knock on Batman and Robin, but a nice change of pace as far as the use of the imagination. If you want to build, stretch, improve your imagination, your kids' imagination, or just increase their understanding of our world around us, past and present, you may want to consider a trip to the San Diego Natural History Museum. For more information, go to their website. We've linked to it in the show notes, but you can reach it at sdnhm.org. Calandra, Rothrock, thanks for being our guest today.
Thank you for listening to Spotlight Chat, a conversation with leaders.